Hello everyone, welcome to Veranda IAS in this series of lectures of current affairs associated with art and culture. In this session today, we are going to study about the Renati Chola era inscription which was unearthed in Andhra Pradesh. Cholas were in Tamil Nadu. Then how we are studying about a Chola era inscription in Andhra Pradesh. This is a point to wonder we'll discuss today. These are Renati Cholas. These are one of the branches of Cholas which ruled in the area of Andhra Pradesh. They were from same Chola dynasty which ruled in Tamil Nadu. But they were the branches which ruled in Andhra Pradesh and are rarely known, so this becomes important for your examination. The learning objectives of the day are to explain the Renati Chola inscription, to examine Chola inscription in news, why this topic is in news, to discuss about the Renati Cholas, outline the Chola dynasty, to discuss about the project digital Puhar, and then we will discuss about the relevance of this project Puhar. We'll begin about Renati Chola era inscription, the introduction. See, when Chola dynasty was there in Tamil Nadu or Sangam literature, Sangam dynasty, you have studied about all this in detail in your lectures of ancient and medieval Indian history. When Cholas were the dynasties which was ruling in Tamil Nadu at that time, what was the culture all around the India? That was the feudalism system. That was also prevalent in the Chola dynasty. Feudalism system. What is it? It is known as in Hindi the Samantvad system. Feudalism, Samantvad, Samant or the feudal lords. Who were these? Very easy it is. At that time there was a king who has to rule over a area. Large area was there under the king. So when king used to rule over the large area, sometimes he was not able to, sometimes he was out for some wars, and sometimes he was not even interested. At that time what the king used to do, king used to divide this area into smaller parts. In every part he used to assign some people to rule. That people who were assigned to rule over one part were known as the feudal lords. Were known as the feudal lords. Now the question arises, why these feudal lords were appointed? These feudal lords were appointed to ease out the administration of a large empire. Second question arises, how these feudal lords were appointed? Who were these feudal lords? So these feudal lords were the people from amongst the population of that area, but these were the people who had some renowned status. Probably they were the landlords, or probably they were from the so-called upper caste, upper class, or some or other influential position power they holded. They were appointed as feudal lords. History tells us time and again, not even the history of India, but also the history of the world tells us, whenever the king was weak, these feudal lords were the people who started declaring their independence. In Indian history, we have several evidences where these feudal lords declared their independences, and also these feudal lords became the next king, became the next higher of the Rajgaddi or higher of the administration. So what happened? These feudal lords were the people who started capturing small areas which were given to them and started declaring their independence. They became very powerful and very influential. Renati Cholas were the feudatories of the Chola dynasty which was ruling in Tamil Nadu. I told you all this story so that you can understand who were Renati Cholas. Since Renati Cholas are not very much descriptive, or you can find very rare information about them in the NCERTs, so it becomes important for you all to be clear on this. Renati Cholas were the feudatories of the Chola dynasty, and these Renati Cholas were given the control of the area of present-day Andhra Pradesh. There they declared their independence and established themselves as independent ruler, but as a branch of the Chola dynasty. That is why that area, that dynasty rule is known as Renati Chola era. Now Renati Chola inscription is found. Renati Chola inscription is discovered where? In the area of Andhra Pradesh. That is why this topic is in news. The inscription was discovered etched on a dolomite slab. What is dolomite? What is dolomite? It is a type of rock. So where do we find this inscription? It is found on a stone, a rock. There is a rock slab on which there is something written, which is the inscription of Renati Cholas. It is not like earlier kings used to establish big orders on the platforms of the stones, on the bridges. Not like that. It is just a dolomite slab, a rock where the things are written, and that is the inscription which is discovered. And shale that were removed from a farmer's field. From a farmer's field, these are discovered, and it is simply a piece of rock, piece of stone. The inscription is written, important. The language on the inscription was archaic Telugu. Archaic Telugu. Again, this becomes important because we know that the Chola dynasty used Tamil language, but this is rare, this is unique. And what is archaic Telugu? It is original Telugu, or we can say ancient Telugu, which was prevalent during those times. Present-day Telugu is different. That is why we say that it was archaic Telugu. It was assigned to the 8th century AD, when the region was under the rule of Chola Maharaja of Renadu. The time period is important when there was the rule of Chola Maharaja of Renadu, 8th century AD. That is the time period of the inscription which is discovered. In this picture you can see it is a piece of a stone, dolomite slab you can say, where you can see, if you will zoom this, you will find some or other things are written. It is archaic Telugu in which the message is written. Next, why it is in news. In July 2020, a unique inscription from the Renati Chola dynasty has been discovered, has been uncovered in a rural hamlet in Kadapa district of Andhra Pradesh. Where it is found? In Andhra Pradesh. The inscription appears to provide light on the story of a Brahmin priest receiving 6 matas, a unit of measurement of land, as a gift. What is it? 6 matas. Matas is a unit of measurement. Like we had different unit of measurements in different dynasties. This matas word is used here, which is a unit of measurement. And this inscription tells us that there was a Brahmin. It is a story description. Brahmin was getting a piece of land as a gift. This reminds you of what? This should remind you of Brahmadev. Brahmadev, what is it? We have read in ancient times, in the history of northern India as well, that there was a provision, there was a trend of Brahmadev. The land grants were given to Brahmins. Brahmins who were considered as the descendants of Brahma, who were the priest and who were considered as the so-called upper caste in the present system of caste hierarchy. Brahmins, because they were the people who were considered as a link between the people and between the god. That is why Brahmins were given the works of chanting the hymns, chanting the Vedas, chanting the religious books and performing the religious sacrifices, and land grants were made to them as a gift. That this whole thing is known as Brahmadev, the grants to Brahmins, and this inscription also talks that such trend was prevalent in the area of Andhra Pradesh as well. The Archaeological Survey of India, ASI, discovered the exact location of the Renati Chola's capital in Andhra Pradesh, Kadapa district in July 2020. Their capital city of Renati Chola dynasty was the Kadapa district of Andhra Pradesh. Next comes, ASI also deciphered two 7th century inscriptions by Renati Cholas. You can link with the time period. The first inscription refers to their capital Erikal. First inscription says that their capital was Erikal, which is located in Kamlapuram district of Kadapa. While the second refers to the fight between the Renati Cholas and the Banas. Remember the context as well, because there are only two inscriptions found recently, so can be asked that what is written in which inscription. Next comes the Telugu Cholas of Renadu, also called Renati Cholas, ruled over Renadu region, which is present-day Kadapa district. That is why also known as Renadu Cholas. Telugu Cholas. Why Telugu Cholas? Because remaining Chola dynasty was of Tamil Cholas. Next comes the earliest of this family was Nandivarman, 500 AD. Earliest of this family was King Nandivarman of 500 AD. Renadu Cholas were the Chola dynasty's feudatories. They were the feudal lords assigned work in the area of present-day Andhra Pradesh. These rulers claimed to be descendant from Karikal Chola, one of the important kings of the Chola dynasty. They claim that they are descendants of this important king. They are said to be the first kingdom to use Telugu in administration. Important. First kingdom to use Telugu in their administration and inscriptions instead of Sanskrit. Instead of the popular language Sanskrit, they used Telugu language. Next is something about the Chola dynasty, the mainline Cholas. The mainline Cholas or the Cholas controlled the central and the northern parts of Tamil Nadu. The time period was around 8th to 12th century AD. Their core area of the rule was Kaveri Delta. Their main area, central area where they ruled was Kaveri Delta, which later was known as Chola Mandalam. Their capital was Urayur, which is near Tiruchirappalli town, and Puhar, or which is also known as Kaveri Patnam, was an alternative royal residence and chief port town. It is also a port town, important. There were two capitals, we can say. The capital was Urayur, but the important port town and important city in diplomatic relations, town in diplomatic relations was Kaveri Patnam as well. And tiger was their emblem. Cholas, Cheras and Pandyas were contemporary, or for some time were contemporary, we can say. They had their emblems which were printed on their flags. The emblem of Cholas was tiger. Next comes something more about Chola dynasty. The Cholas were known for what? For their efficient navy. See, efficient navy, things are related, also become a need for Cholas, because the Cholas ruled over this area of Tamil Nadu, we can say, or we can say if we are talking about Renati Cholas, then this area. They were compelled to maintain an efficient navy to avoid the naval attacks from these sides. This is controlled, or this is water area, all the three sides, and to avoid the attacks from the neighbors from the naval side, they needed to maintain an efficient navy, and also they were successful in maintaining. Cholas are remembered for their strong naval forces. King Karikala was a famous king of the Sangam Cholas. During his time period, trade and commerce flourished during his reign. He developed Puhar, similar to Kaveri Patnam, as a port city and built a 160-kilometer embankment along the Kaveri river. A lot of developmental works were taken by him. Something about Project Digital Puhar. What is it? Important is, remember, it is by the Department of Science and Technology. You can forget this fact, that is why I am emphasizing. By the Department of Science and Technology, DST, recently started Project Digital Puhar. Since it is digital, what is it? We will discuss. That is why Department of Science and Technology, not the Department of Archaeology or related with history, with the goal of recreating the Chola dynasty port city of Puhar in Tamil Nadu. Important. What is the goal? What is the aim of this project Digital Puhar? To recreate the city of the port city of Puhar as it was in the days of Chola dynasty in the state of Tamil Nadu. Also, there was a news recently, after 23 years, there was a consecration ceremony which took place in Brihadeshwara Temple, which is in Thanjavur, Tamil Nadu. After 23 years at Thanjavur, Tamil Nadu, the Brihadeshwara Temple was recently consecrated, that is Kumbhabhishekam. It was the time period of Rajaraja Chola first, very important ruler of the Chola dynasty. During 1003 AD to 1010 AD, this temple was constructed by Rajaraja Chola first, and this temple is also very important from the point of view of your art and culture static syllabus, because the construction of this temple is one of the epitomes of the Dravidian style of temple architecture. Dravidian style of temple architecture. We have studied about the Nagara style of temple architecture and Dravidian style of temple architecture. One of the finest examples of this type of temple architecture is the Brihadeshwara Temple. So this becomes important for your static syllabus as well. This was all for today. Today in detail we discussed about the Renati Chola era inscriptions, about Chola inscription in news, Renati Cholas, the Chola dynasty, the project Digital Puhar, and then we discussed about Brihadeshwara Temple as well. This was all for today. I hope you all enjoyed this session. We'll continue from here. Till then, stay tuned, keep studying. Thank you so much.